Let me say one thing about this. I think that there's been a lot of disinformation on this topic that has been systematically pushed in a distorting manner. In fact, the view has been put forward that Muslims are all part of a deep conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States and impose something called Sharia law that will put all women into burqas. And that if any Muslim tells you something different, they're basically lying to you because they're part of this deep conspiracy. Now, if you believe this theory, I have a bridge in Brooklyn that I would like to sell you for a very low price. I mean, it is a paranoid fantasy. The thing is, and others can comment on this, especially Abdullah, but Sharia basically is what tells Muslims how to pray, how to negotiate a marriage contract, how to do funeral rituals. And if that is outlawed, it's basically like outlawing Jewish ethical practices known as the halakha, and or the Roman Catholic Church's canon law. Now there is actually, this is private religious practice, and it doesn't have any conflict with American national law, but there have been legislative bills introduced into about 20 states scaring people to death that there's something called Sharia law that's going to overthrow the country, and it's extremely misleading. So I think this needs to be dismissed as a complete fantasy.
Okay. I would love to talk a little bit more. It's in 2-3 minutes, explain the whole Sharia, the concept, but it's beautifully summarized in Dr. Ernst. But what bothers me the most as an American citizen who fell in love with the system here, who came to this country because of its secular democracy, who came to this country to intentionally raise my children in a society based on civic society, freedom of speech, liberties, and etc. When I see this fear of unicorn, an non-existent threat, that also disappoints me for how a lot of Americans, their distrust of what they have. Their distrust of American society, our constitutional society, basically believing that somehow some Muslims will come. And in this country for the last 200 years, people are trying to establish Christian Sharia. Yeah. And they couldn't. What makes anybody think that these Muslims who are more than 50% college educated, more than 35% graduate degree, living in suburban homes, somehow are using this American way of living to force the society to ride camels and live in tents and etc. I mean, it's really mind-boggling. It sort of shakes my trust in American society, American people's ability to understand and appreciate what they have. Sharia basically means ethical, moral conduct and the framework of Muslims, the way we live our lives, the way we try to be an ethical, moral people in the teachings, in the light of the teachings of the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad. But not to say, like every propaganda, every lie, successful ones, they cannot be entirely flat-out lies, right? Every propaganda or every this kind of destructive message based on partial truth. There is a partial truth of a legal system, judicial system, which Muslims have been developing for the last 1400 years in order to manage their way of living, not only in their devotional and personal spiritual life, but also in their collective life, in their governmental life, etc. But again, that legal system exists. But by all means, even that legal system is not a frozen rules and laws, basically thrown from the sky to Muhammad's lap, peace be upon him, 1400 years ago. It's very dynamic. And many of them do not even apply to our American system. If you want to know which country is the most Sharia compliant, if you want to know which country is civic society, there's a study. If you look at the moral ethical teachings of Sharia and basically apply these moral ethical teachings to countries to see in which country Sharia lives the most thrivingly, are Scandinavian countries, Finland, Norway. In America, our judicial system, our economic system, our social justice system is a lot more Sharia compliant than many Muslim majority societies. That's where overwhelming majority of Muslims who are living in the United States came to this country, to be able to live their religion, practice religion much more freely.
One more